Okay, so get this, this deep dive is going to take us straight to the heart.
To the heart.
Literally.
Yeah.
You sent us this research paper on 3-hydroxybutyrate,
Oh, yeah.
or 3-OHB,
Mm-hmm.
and its effects on the heart.
Right.
But what's really cool is this study found something totally unexpected about the different forms of 3-OHB
Oh, wow.
and how they impact the heart.
Interesting.
It's like discovering there's more than one flavor of your favorite ice cream, and one is way better than the other.
Yeah. It really is a fascinating finding. We're so used to thinking about 3-OHB as just like one thing,
Right.
But this study from the Journal of the American Heart Association really shows us that there's a lot more to this story.
Okay.
They dug into these different forms called enantiomers.
Enantiomers.
Yeah, think of them like mirror images of each other.
Oh, okay.
And what they found was that one form,
Okay, yeah.
L-3-OHB,
L-3-OHB.
had a much bigger effect on cardiac output
Wow.
than the more commonly studied D-3-OHB.
Wait, back up for a sec.
Okay.
Cardiac output.
Yeah.
For those of us who haven't brushed up on our cardiology lately,
Right.
what exactly does that mean?
Good point. Yeah, sometimes we dive in a little too quickly.
Yeah.
So cardiac output, or CAO for short,
Yep.
is basically how much blood your heart pumps out every minute.
Got it.
It's a measure of how efficiently your heart is working.
Okay.
And what the study found is that L-3-OHB could actually boost cardiac output significantly more than D-3-OHB.
Okay, so we have this L form of 3-OHB that seems to be a heart-pumping superstar.
Yeah.
But how is it doing that?
Yeah.
Does it make the heart beat faster or stronger?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
They found that it's not about making the heart work harder.
Okay.
Instead, 3-OHB seems to be reducing the resistance that the heart has to work against when it pumps blood out to the body.
So it's kind of like...
Yeah, it's like easing up the pressure on a garden hose.
Oh, okay.
Less resistance equals better flow.
Makes sense.
And they even compared its effect to nitroglycerin.
Oh, wow.
Which is a medication that's commonly used to reduce strain on the heart.
Okay.
And 3-OHB actually did better in this study.
Wow. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But I'm still kind of stuck on this idea
Okay.
of two different forms of 3-OHB.
Right.
Why does L-3-OHB have a bigger effect than D-3-OHB?
Well...
Is it like a supercharged version or something?
Not exactly.
Okay.
It all comes down to metabolism.
Okay.
L-3-OHB is metabolized or broken down more slowly by the body, meaning it stays in the bloodstream longer.
Got it.
So while both forms can help reduce that resistance the heart faces, L-3-OHB's effect is more potent and longer lasting.
Ah, so it's like the difference between taking a single dose of medicine and having like a slow release version.
Yeah, exactly.
But if L-3-OHB isn't being used up as quickly, does that mean it's not actually being used by the heart muscle itself?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And that's what really makes this research so thought-provoking.
Okay.
They actually looked at how each form was taken up, used by the heart.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. D-3-OHB, the one that's metabolized faster, is readily taken up by the heart muscle.
Okay.
But L-3-OHB, the one with the bigger impact on cardiac output, isn't taken up as quickly.
Interesting.
This suggests that L-3-OHB might be doing its work outside of the heart muscle itself.
So if it's not directly powering the heart, how is it helping the heart pump better?
Yeah.
Where could it be acting?
That's what we'll be diving into next.
Okay.
The researchers have some really intriguing ideas about the role of blood vessels.
Interesting.
And they use some really cool imaging techniques
to
track where these different forms of 3-OHB go in the body. So get ready for some serious scientific detective work.
Okay. I am officially hooked. I can't wait to uncover more of this 3-OHB mystery.
All right.
We'll be back soon with part 2 of this deep dive. Welcome back to our deep dive on 3-OHB and its effect on the heart.
Yeah.
Last time we were left with this mystery of how L-3-OHB is boosting the heart's pumping power if it's not being directly used by the heart muscle itself.
Yeah.
So it's time to put on our detective hats and follow the clues.
Exactly.
So where do we even begin with that?
Well, the researchers had that same question. So they used this technique called PT scanning to literally see where these different forms of 3-OHB were going in the body.
T-scans. I feel like I've heard of those before.
Yeah.
For all sorts of things.
They're used in cancer diagnosis, brain imaging, even heart health.
Okay.
So in this case, the PT scan showed that while D-3-OHB was hanging out in the heart muscle, being used as fuel, L-3-OHB wasn't being taken up by the heart as readily. And this really supported their idea that L-3-OHB might be acting on something other than the heart muscle itself.
So what did they think was the target, if not the heart muscle?
Well, remember how we talked about 3-OHB reducing the resistance?
Yeah.
The heart has to work against. It's like the heart is trying to pump blood through a hose.
Okay.
And L-3-OHB is making that hose wider, allowing for easier flow.
Right.
So the researchers suspected that L-3-OHB might be directly acting on the blood vessels themselves, causing them to relax and widen.
Got it.
And this is called vasodilation.
Vasodilation.
Yeah.
So it's like L-3-OHB is giving those blood vessels a little massage, helping them chill out and let the blood flow more freely.
Exactly.
Clever.
Yeah.
But did they have any direct evidence for this, or was this just a hunch based on the PET scans?
They went a step further to test this theory.
Okay.
They focused specifically on the coronary arteries. These are the blood vessels that supply the heart muscle itself with blood. So they took these arteries from the experimental animals and applied both D and L-3-OHB directly to them.
And drumroll, please, did those arteries relax and widen like they suspected?
They did.
Okay.
Both D and L-3-OHB caused the coronary arteries to relax, meaning they were directly widening those blood vessels.
So that means...
Yeah, this provides really strong support for the idea that 3-OHB, and especially L-3-OHB, can directly impact blood vessels, potentially contributing to that reduction in resistance we talked about earlier.
Okay, so let's recap for a second.
Okay.
We have L-3-OHB hanging out in the bloodstream longer.
Yeah.
Because it's metabolized more slowly.
Right.
And it seems to be directly relaxing blood vessels, making it easier for the heart to pump blood.
Right.
This is all starting to make sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's always that one question lurking in the back of people's minds when it comes to heart health.
You're talking about the mitochondria, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those tiny powerhouses in our cells that are responsible for energy production.
Yeah.
People worry about things that might disrupt mitochondrial function.
Right.
Especially in the heart.
Absolutely. That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But here's the good news.
Okay.
This study also looked at mitochondrial function in the heart.
Okay.
And they found that neither D nor L-3-OHB had any negative impact.
So no mitochondrial meddling from 3-OHB.
Oh.
That's a big relief.
Yeah.
But, you know, all of this research is focused on the immediate short-term effects.
Right.
What about the long game?
Yeah.
What happens if someone is exposed to L-3-OHB for a longer period?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And one that requires more research to answer definitively.
Okay.
This study only looked at the acute effects of 3-OHB.
Okay.
But it does give us a solid foundation for exploring the potential long-term benefits.
Okay.
And, you know, any potential risks of L-3-OHB.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
This is really just the beginning of the story. We've unraveled some key parts of the mystery.
Yeah.
But there's still so much more to discover.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this research so exciting.
Right.
It's opening up all these new avenues for understanding how we can support heart health and potentially even treat conditions like heart failure.
Oh, I can't wait to see what future research reveals.
Yeah.
But for now, we have one last piece of this 3-OHB puzzle to examine.
Okay.
Stick with us as we head into the final part of this deep dive. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into 3-OHB and its effects on the heart.
All right.
We've talked about how L-3-OHB boosts cardiac output, likely by relaxing those blood vessels, and how it doesn't seem to mess with the heart's mitochondria.
Yeah. Seems like it's pretty safe in that regard.
But there's one thing we haven't really talked about yet.
Okay.
How did the researchers measure these changes in the heart function?
That's an important point, you know?
Yeah.
You can't just assume something's happening. You have to have good evidence.
Right.
And so in this study, they used some pretty sophisticated tools to get very precise measurements of the heart's activity.
Like what? Give us a little behind the scenes.
Yeah. So they used something called a pulmonary artery catheter.
Okay.
Which sounds a little complicated.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's really just a thin tube that's inserted into a vein and guided up to the pulmonary artery, which is the one that carries blood from the heart to the lungs.
So it's like sending a tiny little spy to get an inside view of what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this catheter allows them to measure all sorts of things, like the blood pressure inside the heart.
Wow.
How much blood is being pumped out with each beat
Okay.
even how much oxygen is in the blood.
They can tell all that from that one little thing.
Yeah. Pretty amazing, right?
That is amazing.
They also used a special catheter that's placed directly into the left ventricle, which is the heart's main pumping chamber, to get detailed information about how well the heart was contracting and relaxing.
So it sounds like they had a whole toolkit.
They did.
To really, monitor the heart's every move.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The level of detail that they were able to get.
But how did all this fancy tech help them understand what 3-OHB was actually doing?
So by combining all of these measurements,
Okay.
they could really see the direct effects of each form of 3-OHB. And what they found was that L-3-OHB caused this significant decrease in the pressure the heart had to pump against, further supporting that idea that it was relaxing blood vessels and making it easier for the heart to do its job.
So they were able to prove that it wasn't just making the heart work harder.
Right.
It was actually making its job easier.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
With all this talk about catheters and measurements,
right,
sometimes it's easy to lose sight of the big picture.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's zoom out for a second.
Okay.
What does this all mean for you, the listener, who sent us this research paper?
Yeah.
Why should you care about the difference between D and L-3-OHB?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that not all 3-OHB is created equal.
Okay.
This study really highlights the importance of considering the specific form of 3-OHB.
Okay.
Because as we've seen, L-3-OHB has these unique effects on the heart that are different from D-3-OHB.
Right. It's like discovering there's different types of gasoline.
Exactly.
And one gives your car way better mileage.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe even runs cleaner.
Right.
Who knows?
And it's not just about better mileage, it's about potentially improving heart health.
Right.
This research opens up so many possibilities.
For sure.
Imagine if we could harness the power of L-3-OHB.
Yeah.
To help people with heart conditions or even prevent heart problems from happening in the first place.
It's a very tantalizing prospect.
Yeah.
But as with any promising research,
Of course.
we need more studies to confirm these findings. Yeah.
And really explore those long-term effects.
This has really just been scratching the surface.
Yeah, this is just the beginning.
Of what we could learn about L-3-OHB and its potential.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
It really is.
That's the beauty of science.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending quest for knowledge.
Yeah, and we as curious minds, we get to be a part of that journey.
Well said. On that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive into the fascinating world of L-3-OHB.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed the journey as much as we have.
Thanks for sending us the paper.
Yeah, send us more.
And keep those brains buzzing.
There's always more to discover.